Very good evening to everyone. Please say Namo Tassa 3 times in order to observe 5 precepts as our usual practice. Repeat after me. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Sarana-gamanang sampunnang. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinnādāna veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kāmesu miccācārā veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musāvādā veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Surāmeraya majjapamā dattāna veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Tisaraṇena saddhem pañcasīlaṃ dhammaṃ sādhukaṃ surakkitaṃ kattvā appamādena sampādē tabbhaṃ. Samantā cakkavālesu atrā gaccantu devatā. Saddhammaṃ munirājassa sunantu sagga mokkadaṃ. Dhammasavana kālo ayaṃ badantā. Dhammasavana kālo ayaṃ badantā. Dhammasavana kālo ayaṃ badantā. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammā sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammā sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammā sambuddhassa. Sukha dukkhe tulā bhūto yasesu vayasesu ca sabbhatta samato homi esāma upekkha pārami. Most Venerable, the Chief Abbot of Dhammasarana Buddhist Temple, and the members of the Mahasangha, and dear faithful devotees, and wholesome friends and meritorious children, very good evening to every one of you. And as usual, you all have gathered to your premises in order to let yourself to listen to the teachings of the Buddha as a wonderful opportunity in our life and a golden opportunity in our life. You are very familiar with me and you are very familiar with my talk because I have been conducting this series of Dhamma talk since I first came to Australia. And I'm very happy to be here and I'm very happy to talking to you today as well on the topic of equanimity. And we have been discussing and talking about 10 perfections last few months. And I'm very happy to say that, and I'm very glad to say that I have successfully completed all the 9 paramitas, including today's one. So the today one will be the last one among 10 perfections, and we have successfully completed the 9 paramitas so far. And today I'll be talking on perfections of equanimity. That is the last one of 10 perfections. I consider and I guess, I believe and I trust you may have got some knowledge about 10 perfections from my talks. If you have not got any knowledge about these 10 perfections, I reckon you to go to the YouTube of our Dhamma Buddhist temple. Please try to listen to those previous talks. And those talks will be useful for you to get some knowledge about 10 perfections. And during my first Dhamma talk, I explained to you the importance of 10 paramitas and also the importance of practicing 10 perfections and who should practice 10 perfections and who should complete these 10 perfections and what are the results that you get when you practice 10 perfections. So having known that, having had that ideas in your mind, let's get into today's topic and today's subject. So today I'm going to talk about equanimity. Equanimity is one of the great qualities that we should develop in ourselves, in our life, within our life. It seems like equanimity is quite tough and quite difficult quality or attitude to develop, but if one can develop and cultivate this equanimity, that person will be a successful person in both life, in secular life and also in spiritual life. So therefore it is very important for people to practice equanimity. So earlier I recited one of the stanzas in Buddhism. It said, Sukha dukkhe tula bhuto yasesu ayasesu cha sabbatta samato homi esama upekha parami. So this explains how our Lord Buddha, how he practiced these perfections of equanimity. He said in this Gatha, in this stanza, he said, I have led my life just like a scale without being disturbed in any situation such as pleasure, pain, fame, disrepute, and this is equanimity of perfection. So the Lord Buddha, he was not disturbed by any of these conditions. He has overcome and he has led his life without being disturbed in any of these situations, just like a scale. Children, have you seen a scale? I guess you may have seen scales, right? But you know that olden time people use different types of scales, and if you go to Google, just type the scale of olden time, and you can see two types of containers in both sides. So this type of scale is very common in the past time. So usually people use to measure their weight using these scales, right? So this scale usually in a position of equal position always, right? Unless you keep something in one side. Let's say that you want to keep some sugar one side of the scale, and you put 1 kg of that metal into another side. So that is how people measure the weight of that quantity, right? So if you do not put anything in both sides, the scale is always in the positions of balanced. It's not, it does not take any side, right? It's always be in the same level. Likewise, the Lord Buddha, he was not affected, he was not disturbed, and he was not affected by these conditions, these kind of pleasure, pain, disrepute, and other kind of occurrences or happenings happenings in his life. He could always stay in the positions without being disturbed in any conditions. That was the meaning of that stanza. So we have to be like that. We have to be like the Buddha. We have to act like a scale, not to be heavy in one side, not to be taken in one side, but if we can be in a position, equal position always, that would be the great thing. So, Upekka is a Pali term. Upekka is a Pali term for equanimity. It means discerning rightly and weaving justly and also looking impartially. So that is the meaning of Upekka, right? So when you practice Upekka, equanimity, you shouldn't have a strong attachment. Your equanimity should be without attachment, without aversion, and without favor and without disfavor. And also in the Buddhism, it explains in this way as well. Upekka means tatra majjatata. That means being in the middle position. Can you be in the middle position? It's quite tough and it's quite difficult. But once you practice, once you cultivate that, you will be able to be in a position. The more you practice, the greater result you may experience, right? So, tatra majjatata, be in the middle term. So it's explained that equanimity is the ability to stay calm and neutral in all situations, regardless how good or bad it is. You should have equal feelings towards someone who causes you pain, trouble, or someone who respects you, someone who disrespects you. So you should not have any kind of preferences in order to practice equanimity, right? Sometimes, if somebody helps you in some ways, let's say that if you go to a job interview, the interviewer or the COE of that company maybe treat you a special way than the others. So considering that treatment, you want to pay back or you want to treat that person back. So you may pay some special attention to that person. So that kind of thing, that kind of feeling, so that kind of strong aversion or attachment or a strong treatment or just like something like a special preferences to that kind of things is not accepted in equanimity, right? When you practice equanimity, you should not have special preferences, special attachment or aversion to someone who causes you pain, even though someone who helps you, even though someone who respects you, someone who disrespects you, so someone who took care of you, someone who loves you. So you should not have a strong bondage or a strong attachment to someone who causes all those problems, right? And also the Buddha said that sometimes you may tend to do some respect or tend to do some care or some strong feeling to someone who closely associates you, right? Closely associates with you. So sometimes we tend to do, right? Sometimes I happen to see this. Sometimes you know that if you, let's say that if you go to shop, so the item, the cost of the item may be $100. So if the person gives that product for the lower price, like just say like $60 or $70, so you feel happy, right? Then you feel happy because you got a discount. And in return, maybe next day when you go from your home, you want to take something to that person, right? I just give you an example. In all the situations in our life, so if we get some treatments and if we get some kind of help or some kind of special care or special looking after, so we want to pay back, right? We want to trade back. But that is not the practice of equanimity. The Buddha said that in the people who respect you, people who treat you, and the people who disrespect you, people who do not treat you, so you must have the equal feelings towards the both of them, right? And also he said that we should not have a strong attachment to beautiful things as well as ugly things. Most of the time we are very much attached, we are very much attached to beautiful things rather than ugly things, right? We reject ugly things, but we collect and we admire and we gather beautiful things and pleasant things. But when you practice of equanimity, you should not have that kind of imbalanced feelings towards those things. You must always develop equanimous qualities or equanimous quality in you, and you should act equanimously in any kind of situation, right? And keeping balanced and stable mind for all sentient beings and material things is understood as perfection of equanimity. So if you can keep your mind like a balanced mind towards the sentient beings and the material things equally, that is considered as equanimity. So I hope you understand the concept of equanimity, right? Equanimity, you cannot be selected one things to be equanimity, but because sometimes we select good things and we reject bad things, like pleasurable things and unpleasurable things. So we should not select those kind of things separately, because in both situations, if you can keep your mind in balance, in a happy and sad situation, that could be considered practice of equanimity. While practicing the perfection equanimity, one remain impartial and unaffected by one's experience, not developing desire, craving for friendly people and pleasurable experience, and dislike and aversion for unfriendly people and unpleasant things. Yeah, it's very clear that some people, they try to create some special feelings towards the things that they really like, towards the people they really like. And if they don't like someone or if they don't like something, they create different types of feelings, unwanted feelings. But that is not the correct way of practicing equanimity. We must practice equanimity without any preferences, without any classification. We must have equanimity towards everyone equally, right? And also, the practice of equanimity, upekkha, and the shanti, the quality of shanti, there is a close relationship between upekkha and also shanti. Upekkha, shanti means the forbearance of physical pain, right? You all know that because we already have talked about this. Shanti means the ability to stay calm and to bear the physical pain. Especially if I give you the example, when your limbs are cut, if you could stay calm and quiet without reacting, that could be considered forbearance, ability to forbear the things, right? But upekkha is more mental attitude. It is attitude of remaining calm and unperturbed in all the ups and downs of our life, right? So if you can cultivate it, enlightened mental attitude of detachment towards anything, if you can stay without detachment, without detaching to anything, that could be considered as equanimity, right? So it says that it is a stage where the mind does not waver, but remains firmly established and impartial and also balanced. So that is considered as equanimity. So in any kind of situation in our life, if you can remain calm and stabilized, if you have a stable mind and balanced mind for any kind of situation, ups and downs in your life, that is considered as equanimity. And equanimity is also one of four sublime states of Buddhism, right? Brahma Vihara, it is one of them actually. And also the Upekkha is one of the seven factors of enlightenment, Satta Bojjhanga. And also one of the four jhanas, right? Upekkha is considered as one of present jhana or absorption when you practice meditation. So in that way, Upekkha is very important quality in Buddhism, and it has given very special place in Buddhism, as it's a very important one. Four Brahma Viharas: loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. So they are also known as abodes of Brahma. So Brahmas, they have these four qualities: loving kindness, and also compassion, sympathetic joy, equanimity. You can find these qualities only in Brahma, and also you can find these qualities in your parents. They have these great qualities. Others, they do not have those qualities, right? Only your parents and also Brahmas, because those qualities are very difficult to cultivate and very difficult to find in someone else. So equanimity can be described as the final phase of the practice of three Brahma Viharas. So it's a final stage of practice of four Brahma Viharas, and it plays a stabilized role in the development and maintenance of the equanimity. Loving kindness helps equanimity to maintain its selflessness and also to expand the limitless manner. Equanimity provides loving kindness with energy and insight so that it can maintain sense of evenness and patience while not becoming too sentimental and emotional. And also compassion prevents equanimity from turning into indifferences and possibility to becoming selfish and isolated. Equanimity provides compassion with much needed patience and courage in maintaining compassion for those who experience immense trauma and also suffering, and to actively to do something for the welfare of others. Sympathetic joy imparts security on equanimity and prevents it from becoming stern in its outlook. Equanimity provides sympathetic joy with vigilance and self-control. So these, I explain these things, how equanimity operates in the practice of four sublime qualities, Brahma Vihara. Don't worry about those things. I just want to give you some explanation about loving kindness, these four Brahma Viharas. So just get some ideas, okay? And I will give you some example later on, then you can understand very well. Equanimity and enlightenment. There's a very good discourses of the Buddha. It's said that Metta Sahagata Sutta of the Samyutta Nikaya, collection discourses of the Buddha has stated in there, having developed the equanimity to the level of meditative absorption. So if somebody can develop that meditation absorption, the quality of absorption up to the highest level, jhanic level, so that person can develop 7 factors of enlightenment. Don't worry about these things, because these are the outcomes, these are the results of practicing equanimity in the highest level actually. If you become a mother and father in your later time, if you practice equanimity, meditation on equanimity, then you may experience these kind of 7 factors of enlightenment. But for that reachment, that kind of achievement, we had to practice. We had to continuously practice meditation on equanimity to be able to reach to that jhanic level. And then if you are in that level, you can experience 7 factors of enlightenment, just like mindfulness, sati, investigation of Dhamma, and also the effort, virya, rapture, joy, tranquility, passaddhi, concentration, samadhi, equanimity, upekkha, the last one. So these are the, in Buddhism these are mentioned because I just want to give you some important important information about equanimity. So if somebody can practice meditation on equanimity, that person, if that person reaches the level to the jhanic level, that person can develop and cultivate these kind of 7 factors of enlightenment. And also equanimity on meditation. We can use equanimity as a meditative object, dear children. The equanimity is quite difficult topic, difficult things to explain, but I try my best to understand, I try my best to explain to you very well. I hope you won't get bored. So, equanimity, the quality of equanimity we can use as a meditative object. You know that according to Samatha meditation, there are 40 types of meditative objects. So among those 40 types of meditative objects, the equanimity is there. Under 4 sublime mysteries, Brahma Vihara, the last type of meditative object of Brahma Vihara, under the 40 types of meditative objects, Brahma Vihara is there, meditation on equanimity. If somebody can concentrate on, if somebody can practice meditation on equanimity, that person is able to experience first jhana. He will be able to get jhana actually. So it is very important if you can practice meditation on equanimity, because it's an meditative object of our samatha meditation, right? And I will explain to you how we should practice equanimity, meditation on equanimity. First, a positive mindset is essential when one begins to meditate on equanimity. You must have positive mindset, is very crucial and very important. Prior practice of loving kindness meditation, metta bhavana, sending unconditional loving kindness to oneself first, gradually extending loving kindness to all sentient beings may help you to practice, may help you to prepare oneself to have mindsets to start your meditation on equanimity. When you want to begin the practice of meditation on equanimity, first you have to visualize a neutral person. At the beginning, when you create the positive mindset, after having spread loving kindness towards all living beings, first yourself and then to all living beings, and then you must visualize a neutral person, not the person who you have anger with, right? Not the person that you have favor with, right? You should not select a favorable person or unfavorable person. You must select a neutral person. You must visualize a neutral person who you should not have strong feelings towards, and then having had that person in your mind, you can mentally repeat these few phrases as this. How you should do? Children, when you practice meditation on equanimity, you can repeat these phrases mentally like this, okay? The phrases go like this. You are responsible for your actions. Your happiness or unhappiness depends on your own actions, not on my wishes for you. May you be calm and non-reactive. So these are the phrases that you should use when you practice meditation on equanimity. First, visualize a person, visualize a neutral person, and then try to repeat those phrases mentally. And you are free to select, or you are free to create your own phrases if you wish. The phrases that you think that more comfortable to yourself and more easy to prepare to use toward the neutral person. You know that it's quite difficult for us to develop and establish equanimity within short time, it may take time to develop and establish equanimity, because it's a quite difficult quality that we should develop in our life. But once you practice gradually, you can create that kind of special quality or equanimity in you, right? And then once your mind is stabilized, and once because first time when you practice meditation on equanimity, I said that you should select neutral person, right? So when you practice this, and then once your mind is stabilized and stabilized fairly, then you can think about other person as well. You can spread, you can think about all the people. Neutral person, first you select neutral person, and then you can visualize a dear person, a typical person, all beings in the universe, and finally to yourself, oneself, right? So first select a neutral person to practice equanimity, and then you have to select dear person, and also typical person, and also all the sentient beings, and finally to yourself. When you want to, when you visualize yourself, when you want to practice equanimity to yourself, you have to repeat, and you have to have some special phrases as well as. I'm helping you to get some phrases giving you. So you can visualize yourself, you can think in that way, you can mentally repeat these phrases as well. I am responsible for my own actions. My happiness, unhappiness depends on my own actions, not on my wishes for me. May I be calm and non-reactive. So these are the phrases that if you want to practice equanimity towards yourself, right? So these are the these are the phrases that you have to practice. And my dear children, when we practice equanimity, we have to be very mindful. We have to be very careful, because when we practice equanimity, there may be some enemies with equanimity. Not the enemies mean, I'm not talking about the enemies like who want to fight against you physically. Those are mental enemies, I think. So when you practice equanimity, you have to be very mindful, and you have to be very diligent to be able to understand the enemies of practice of equanimity in our daily life, and also during our meditation practice. It says that while there are two types of enemies when we practice equanimity, quality of equanimity, or practice of meditation, meditation on equanimity, it says that there are two types, right? A far enemy and near enemy. While it may be easy to identify far enemies, it says that you are able to identify far enemies, rather than it is very difficult to identify near enemies. It's said that, okay? It is much more difficult to identify near enemy. What are the near enemies? Your greed, aversion, and anxiety. So when you practice equanimity, you know that if that equanimity comes with greed or aversion or anxiety, you are able to understand that, right? I don't have to explain to you with examples. I know. If you practice, earlier I said that, right? If you have special preference to someone who helped you, so we want to treat back, you want to give something in return, you want to pay back, right? So that kind of feelings, that kind of equanimity goes with greed, right? And aversion and anxiety. So those are the far enemies. It's very difficult to identify. The near enemies is the attitude of indifference, but you are not able to identify. It is very difficult to identify near enemies. Like, for example, attitude of indifference or apathy, which may look like equanimity, especially superficially, right? Like, for example, apathy and indifference look like equanimity, but they don't really look like equanimity superficially. But those are acting against practice of equanimity, development of equanimity, apathy and indifferences. They look like equanimity, but it is not. They go against the practice of equanimity. So those are the background information about equanimity. I know that it's quite tough and quite difficult, this kind of quality to explain, also to get to understand also, because it's quite difficult one. Most of the time it's quite difficult, because you know that is like something, the quality is something like difficult to develop and cultivate, but actually we should develop it. That's a very important one. It is said that equanimity is one of the most difficult qualities to be cultivated and developed. Most of us fail. Most of us find lots of difficulties when we practice equanimity. You know that it said that when we practice 10 perfections, I think one of the most difficult perfections of 10 perfection is practice of equanimity. Only enlightened people and the Lord Buddha may find it much easy to practice, but for the lay people like you and me, it's quite difficult for us to practice. But you have to practice, you have to develop. With well-developed equanimity, one will not react with craving and attachment when we are confronted with Ashtaloka Dhamma. When you are confronted with gain, lose, good reputation, ill reputation, praise, blame, pain and pleasure. So if you can develop your equanimity, if you are an equanimous person and if you act equanimously, when these 8 worldly conditions, Ashtaloka Dhamma, are confronted, if you face these things, if you happen to meet these 8 worldly conditions, if you are confronted with those 8 worldly conditions, and you will not be affected, you will not be disturbed, and you will not be attacked by these 8 worldly conditions unless if you do not develop this. So please develop this. It's a very good quality to develop. In the Mangala Sutta, I have taught you before, I have talked about this before. It says that Puttasa loka dhammehi chittang yasana kampati asokang virajang kemang etam mangalam uttama. If somebody can develop his mind not to be affected with these 8 worldly conditions, and that person can be a remarkable and wonderful person, right? And he will be successful in his day-to-day life here and hereafter. So if you can develop your mind not to be affected with these 8 worldly conditions, and you will be the successful person, I think, and I guess. And the Lord Buddha said in the Mangala Sutta, you have to develop your mind not to be affected with these 8 worldly conditions. And guess what? If you are not developed, and if you have not developed this equanimity, and whenever you face these 8 worldly conditions, and you do not know how to behave, and you do not know how to face to these 8 worldly conditions, and you will be a failure, and you will be lost whenever you face these 8 worldly conditions. So if you have developed equanimity, and if you have well developed equanimity, and if you are an equanimous person, and if you act like equanimously, and whenever you face these 8 worldly conditions, you will not be bothered, or you will not be affected and disturbed by these 8 worldly conditions. To feel proud at gain and to be sad at losses are both equally unproductive, right? Some people become very happy and some people become very sad when they lose something, and some people become very happy when they gain something, right? Especially when you hear that you have passed your exam with colors, fine colors, you become very happy. And you and also if you happen to hear that you have won a lottery, you become very happy and you become very delighted. And whenever you hear something unpleasant, right? So if you hear the disappearance of someone who you really loved, and then you feel sad, right? So the both things are unproductive. The feeling of good, feeling of proud, and feeling of sad, both are unproductive. They both do not produce any good result to our life, right? What happened if you act proudly, or if you had like proud, or if you feel sad in both situations, then you act like foolishly, right? You react foolishly according to this situation, right? It is normal people to be happy. It is nature that people to be happy when they gain something. It has the nature of happiness when you gain something, and also it has the nature of sad when you lose something. That is the nature of the life. But sometimes, most of the time, people, when they get something from someone or from something, they forget all the responsibilities and commitments towards their family members, towards their friends, and towards the society, and towards the religion that they believe in, right? For example, let's say that one day, if you happen to win a lottery, right? Let's say $1 million you may win one day. And then once you got that money, you forget all the responsibilities that you had to take care of your parents, you had to perform some religious activities, you had to do some social activities. You may tend to forget all those activities when you get something in your life, right? It's tense. That's the nature of our life. That is, the Buddha said that people usually act foolishly when they gain something, right? So that is not good, actually. That is not the practice of equanimity. Whenever you get something, you have to accept it equanimous way, or equanimously, without being proud, without acting like agitated, very agitated, right? So that is how you should do. And also, people, it is very common people to be sad when they lose something, right? Especially, for instance, when a flower vase or any other jug of water, or new mobile phone, or any electronic gadget, if you break them, if accidentally those items break, you feel very sad, right? So you feel really sad. Sometimes you don't want to eat because you feel very sad. You cry, and you go to your room and lock your room and stay inside without talking to anyone, because you love it and you have a strong attachment to it. And you don't develop your mind to accept that reality, because you do not have equanimous mind to accept that reality, and you have a strong attachment to those items and people. That's why you act like that. And sometimes also, when people have strong attachment to their pets, like dogs and doggies and all those pets that you have at your home, what happened one day, if that your pet or dog dies, then you feel very sad, because you consider the dog is one of your family members, and you have given your surname to their your dogs, right? Because you have strong attachment and aversion towards those animals. So one day, if that animal happens to die, you feel very sad, you cry, you don't want to eat, you cry and cry until you are fainted. That is how people act. Why? Because they do not have the nature of understanding. They do not have the understanding of the Dhamma. They do not have the understanding of equanimity. That's why the Buddha asked people to practice equanimity in order to accept those situations in our life. our life has the nature of gain and lose. Whenever you gain, you become happy, and whenever you lose, you feel sad. But the reacting is not the same as used to be in both situations, right? So what I want to tell is that what the Buddha wants to say, develop that in this both situation, if you can stay calm without reacting in both situations, that is a practice of equanimity. To illustrate this perspective of Attaloka Dhamma, 8 worldly condition, I would like to explain to you one of the stories from the Dhammapada. Dhammapada, yes, you may have heard about the Dhammapala Jataka. It's a Jataka stories from the Jataka book. You know that there was a family in India called Dhammapala family. They were known as Dhammapala because they were well devoted of the Dhamma, and they were very strong religious disciples of the Buddha. So they were very pious and good practitioners of the Dhamma. So they were known as Dhammapala. Listen carefully, okay? One day, a young man, they had a young son. This family, they had a young son, and he was killed by a snake. One day he was, the son and his father was working, actually working in the paddy field. They were doing some farming or something in the paddy field, and then the son was attacked by a snake. And then the son died. And soon after he died, he was reborn again as the head of the divine beings, divine world, Raja Chakravarti. He was not the Chakravarti actually. He was the leader of the divine being. It doesn't come to my mind, the word. Yeah, it's anyway. He was the leader of the divine world actually. Mahabrahma, no. Yeah. So, and then he was reborn as a main leader of the divine world. And then the family members of his family, they got together and they arranged the cremation of their dead body of their son. And then they organized the cremation ceremony of the dead body of their son. Seeing the cremation of the dead body, the chief of the deities. So this deity, he saw this cremation of his body because he was reborn again in the divine world as a chief divine being, and he could see the cremation of his previous body. And then he disguised himself as an old man, and he appeared in front of that cremation, in front of their parents. And having appeared there, and he asked questions. Why are you not crying? Why are you not lamenting on the passing of your son? That old man asked the questions from them. And then each of them answered saying that it was folly or it was useless to cry someone's death, they said. And finally mother gave a very remarkable answer to that old man, the disguised deity. The person who died was born into this world without any invitation. Also he had passed away without any kind of force made by any of us. As he came into this world, so he did pass away, according to his own karma. Therefore there is no meaning of crying or becoming sad on death. This is the lesson that they gave to this deity. Yeah. Why? Because they have developed, they have led their life according to the teachings of the Buddha, and they have developed equanimity in their life. So because of that, when they lost their son, when they have lost their son, they knew how to tackle that, how to overcome from that situation. What about us? What about you children? One day, if you hear that one of your father and mother, or one of your pets, or dog or someone else passed passes away. Can you act like that? Can you behave like that? Can you bear that? I'm very sure that we are not that much capable of accepting that, right? We are not that much capable of acting equanimously, right? Yeah, but if we practice equanimity, that's how we can overcome from these problems, right? Nowadays, we hear the deaths every day. Many people die due to coronavirus. Many of our relatives in Sri Lanka, many of parents of your parents in Sri Lanka, they die. But that is the nature of life, nature of our life. If we are born into this world, one day we have to face the death. We have to face to this situation. So, if you have developed that kind of mind up to that level, that is very good that people can overcome from these problems if they are develop these kind of equanimous mind towards everything, right? That's why it's very important. Again, one's reputation may spread high in acclaim, and another time ill reputation may take place, right? So some people, some bad people or sometimes good people, they may talk behind your back. Sometimes they may talk something good about you, and sometimes your bad reputation may spread. That is the nature of our life. But in both situations, if you can act equanimously, if you can keep your mind balanced in both situations, that is a wonderful thing actually. So when someone criticizes or when someone tell good about you, don't be so proud. And when someone criticizes about you, don't feel sad. In both situations, if you can keep your mind balanced position, that is how that should be the way that you should act according to that situation. You should not react according to that situation, right? Sometimes if you hear good reputation, you jump yourself, you shout, and you screaming and make a lot of sounds. And when you hear something ill reputation about you, you want to fight with that person, you want to have quarrel with that someone, and you want to argue with that person. You should not do that, because in both situations, if you can keep a balanced mind, that is the great thing that you should develop, and that is how you should react according to the teachings of the Buddha. And also the praise and blame, another two pairs of Astaloka Dhamma, praise and blame. These two things that everyone of us confront in our life, right? Nobody is free from blame, and nobody is free from praise. Everybody get praise and everybody get blame as well as. So if you have the equanimous mind, if you have developed equanimity, so your mind should be like a solid rock. You should be like a solid rock. The solid rock remains as it is without any kind of natural process, right? Even a strong wind blows and even strong waves comes, if the solid rock may not move. You should be like that. You should be likewise, the solid rock, right? When you get blame and when you get praise, in this both situation, if you can keep calm yourself, you are wonderful, and you are like a rock, and you are like a solid rock. You have to be like that. And there is no one who is blameless. No one is free from blame actually. We get praise, we get blame. Both equally sometimes we get. To illustrate this thing, I would like to give you a very good story during the times of the Buddha. You know the Dhammapada Katha, the commentary to Dhammapada, there's a very beautiful story. There was a person during the times of the Buddha named Atula. And one day together with his friends, they went to listen to the teachings of the Buddha. And first they went to venerable Revata, one of the disciples of the Buddha. And he did not say anything at that time when they went there. He kept quiet. He didn't say anything. He just kept quiet. And then they were not happy. Why? Because this monk didn't say anything. He did not say anything to us. And they complained, and they not happy. Then the same group proceeded to Venerable Sariputta, who was one of the chief disciples of Buddha. And Venerable Sariputta gave a very long sermon to them, and also very deep one, long and very deep. And then they were not very happy also. Why? Because Venerable Sariputta gave a very long sermon with deep one. Because they did not expect that much lengthy Dhamma talk from him. So they were not happy, and they said it is too long and it is too deep, we didn't understand anything, and they complained again. At the same time, and then again, they went to Venerable Ananda, who gave a very brief sermon, very short one, not long, not short, not very short, not very long, not very deep, but very brief one, very precise one. And they were not happy also, and it said it's too short. First monk, he kept quiet. The second one gave a very long and deep one, and the third one he gave a very brief one. They were not happy, and they complained again. And finally they decided to go to the Buddha. And having gone to the Buddha, they complained about these monks. Revata, Sariputta, Anand, they made a complaint about these monks. Not talk, lengthy talk, brief talk. They complained, telling that, this monk talked very briefly, and this monk kept quiet. That monk talked very deep one and long one. So in that way, they respectively criticized and blamed them. And then the Buddha, having heard to them and having listened to them, the Buddha replied them, this blame was not a new one. It has come from the ancient time. It has come from many years ago. And he said, people criticize and blame for those who keep quiet, and people criticize and blame for those who speak a little, and the people criticize and blame for those who talk more or less or talk much. So nobody is free from blame, and everyone in this world is blamed, and no one is free from blame, right? So children, sometimes you may get blamed from your parents. Your parents may blame you, your teachers may blame you, and your friends may blame you, but don't react with them. Don't try to argue with them. Don't try to react them. Just accept them equanimously. Just be an equanimous person to accept that. Let blame comes in, let your ears to hear them from this ear, and let those blame to go from this ear. Don't keep them inside your mind. Let them come from this ear and let them go from this side, right? That's how we should practice. That's how we should act, right? So that is very wonderful. If you can practice equanimously whenever you get scolded or blamed by someone, right? Sometimes when you go to school, you may get bullied, or you may bullied by someone, right? Someone may bully you at school. Don't go to react with them. Don't go to fight with them. Don't be upset with them. Don't try to make fun with them. Just be quiet and just act equanimously, and just act as an equanimous person. You have to act equanimously. Just let him do that. You don't have to react it. If you go to react, what happen? If you go to react against that situation, what will happen? You may aggravate the situation, right? You may worsen the situation. You may create more troubles in your life, right? Therefore, please be quiet, be calm, and try to keep your mind in a balanced position in that situation. So when someone bully you, try to show him your colors of studying. Show your colors from your studying. Don't try to physically attack that person, but try to show your reaction through your education. Educationally, you can show to them your abilities and capabilities, not using physical action or physical reaction, right? That's not the way. And also the Buddha said that having understood the consequences of karma, understanding the causation of the bad karma, people can practice equanimity, right? You know that if you can understand the causes of karma, so every one of us, most of the time, are based on the causes of the result of the good and bad karmas that we have done, right? So if you can see someone's, and if you can understand more, if something happens to our life, if you can understand, if you can have understanding about, or it could be our due to our bad karma in our life. So if you can develop that kind of mentality, that kind of understanding about cause and effect of moral causation, moral conduct, we can practice equanimously and we can act equanimously. I have lots of things to say, but no time. We had to shorten the Dhamma talk because later on we have another Dhamma talk. Today is a quite tough and busy day, whole day we are practicing and doing those religious duties. Again, after then we had to do something, and so I had to shorten the Dhamma talk. So the Buddha said that if we can understand the causes and cause and effects of the karma that we have done, so that if you face if you happen to face some problems in our life, sometime some things, some occurrences that occur in our life, so it can be considered due to our bad karma, right? So there's a very good discourses of the Buddha, Chulla Kama Vibhanga. One day a young Brahmin came to the Buddha and asked the differences among human beings, why some people are very beautiful and why some people are very ugly, and why some people are very wisdom and some people have short lifespan, why some they have long lifespan. So they, in that way they have, he asked lots of questions. Then the Buddha said that it's because of their result of their good and bad karma they have done. So if somebody can understand that most of the time our life usually based on, our life are formed, our lives or our life is formed according to the result of good and bad karmas we have done. So if we have that kind of understanding, we can practice equanimity as well as. So those are all about equanimity. And also, my dear children, I want to tell you that another quality is that you have, if you are an equanimous person, and when you practice equanimity, whenever you feel like hot, like pleasure and displeasure, or pain and or pleasure and pain in our life, sometimes you know that heat and hot weather, cold weather, hot weather, sometimes we can't bear that, right? Because if the weather is too hot, we complain to the sun, we complain to the environment, and we complain to the people, and we complain to the environment, right? Why? Because it's too hot, and we it's cold, the sun. And when it is very cold, and we blame cold weather, we blame again sun. Why sun does not come? When sun does not arise today? So we complain in that way. And also when we, sometimes when people feel sad, or if they have displeasure, or sometimes if they have physical pain, some people they try to take some drugs like alcohol. So they think that if I take alcohol, they can overcome from those pain, physical pain and mental pain. But trust me, those things do not work, right? You worsen the situation, right? You may create more troubles if you act like that, right? So in that way, my dear children, in all the situations, whenever you feel sad, whenever you feel pain, or you feel hot, or you feel cold, please accept them equanimously. Please please develop balanced mind to accept those situations, right? Don't try to react with those situations or occurrences in our life. If you try to react with those situations, then you will worsen the situation. You will create more troubles in our life, right? Therefore, please always be a very good person, which you have developed equanimity. And there are 5 ways to develop equanimity. I will give you by names of them without going into details. First one, there are 5 ways that you can develop equanimity. Listen carefully. First, balance emotion towards all living beings. You should have balanced emotions towards all living beings. Don't be crazy people. Like sometimes we become very crazy, we become very crazy of our pets and some people, right? So we have strong attachment to them, and when they die, we can't bear that, we can't bear the pain of their losing. So if you have that kind of things, you can't have balance or happiness. Actually, you feel sad. Therefore, you must have balanced emotion towards all living beings, and should not have strong attachments to those things, material things, and also animals or people. The more you have strong attachment, the greater or the more sadness you may experience. The less attachment you have, the less suffering and pain you may experience. Therefore, please try not to have strong attachment. Try to have balanced emotion towards all living beings and things. And the second one, a balanced emotion towards inanimate things. Inanimate things. Sometimes we are very attached to clothes. Sometimes we are very attached to computer games. And sometimes we are very attached to physical objects, right? Physical gadgets, right? So sometimes we are crazy about all those things, right? So it says that if you can understand, for example, if you have a strong attachment to clothes, but if you can understand that this cloth one day will ripped and stained, right? If you can understand the impermanence of the things and the reality of the things, so then you can have some kind of balanced emotions towards all those things, right? To develop balance and cut down your attachment, it will help you to look at material things as transient. So please try to look at the things as transient things, right? Do not have attachment to those things, because you are not going to be with them always and forever, and you might not stay with those things forever. And I am going to make use of this only for a short time, and I am not going to be there last forever, right? If you can have that kind of understanding, then you can minimize all those strong attachment to those things, right? So therefore, whenever you lose something, whenever you lose someone you really love and like, so if you develop that equanimity, and if you are an equanimous person, so you won't be panic from that situation, right? And the third one, avoiding people who go crazy. Some people go very crazy about the people and someone, right? Sometimes if they are very crazy about people, sometimes they put their image on their body, like tattoos, right? Let's say that I'm very much attached to the singer, like Justin Bieber. So if I am very much attached to that person, if I am crazy about that singer, so some young teenagers, they put the image of the Justin Bieber in their bodies, right? What happened one day if that singer happened to face them car accident or something like that? So then you can't bear that loss. Then you may take revenge from your life. Sometimes you don't want to eat, you don't want to live, you don't want to survive because your loved one, your favorite singer die or disappear from this world. And sometimes some politicians, some people, they have put tattoos on their politician on their bodies. Why? They are very much attached to their politician. I say some Sri Lankan people, teenagers, they have put the image of political leaders on their body. Why? Because they are strong attached. They have strong attachment to those people and things. They are not good things to do. Why? Because some people, they are very crazy about the people and the things. Why the Buddha asks people not to do those things? Because if you have that kind of strong attachment, one day those people die or happen something else, then you feel very sad. And then you want to react against those things, right? So that kind of things can be cause problems to your life. You can be worsen your life if you do those things, right? Therefore, please do not act like a crazy people about something. And also the fourth one, choosing the friends who stay cool. You can find friends who stay very cool, right? Very cool and calm. Whenever when they lose something, if they do not have strong attachment to their possessions, and if they are not very much clinging to things, you can choose those friends to associate with, right? So they are very good. They don't bother of losing or get anything. They always stay calm and quiet in any situation. And the fifth one, incline the mind towards balance. And you should always must have incline your mind towards cultivation of equanimity. You should have an inclined mind towards equanimity, right? Then you won't be able to worry about those people and the dogs and all those things. So those are the things that you have to cultivate, and those are the ways that you have to develop, right? First, you have to have balanced emotion towards the people, towards the inanimate things, and also you must not be crazy about things, and also you choose cool friends, and also you should have inclined mind towards. Those are all about the equanimity today. So I conclude my Dhamma talk here. I wish you all the best, and thank you for listening to the Dhamma talk today. And may you all be well and happy. May you all gain good luck, and be with me always. Every month I will conduct Dhamma talks, and I will choose another good topics for you to learn. And I hope you may learn good things today. And I wish you all the best, good luck and good health. And may you be well and happy. May the merits that you accumulate through this listening be able to attain the bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May the triple gem bless you always.